I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm trying to do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir. I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they say. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Can't be a real, might get you canceled. The whole system need to dismantle. Like most wanted, trying to rule the block, but don't know what goes on. News got a story with a new take on me. Hearing out the window with a new face on me. But I know that God love me when my burn 95 degrees and I can't get sunburn. Wonder when your government don't make me legal. Burn the whole city if I can't be equal. Get off my please, Brad, I earned that. 400 years, how you still ain't learned? I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm trying to do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir. I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they say. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real.
Just give another minute or two to let everybody file in.
Outside, a war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Shout out to the trying to gentrify the genre. Tell them free my middle finger to your honor. In the days coming down the seconds on the timer. Goofy still trying to purchase that designer. About to buy, learn to grow my own food. Cause I don't like the look they give me in the Whole Foods. And when you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. But it ain't on me now, I'm limping cause my heavy. But ain't sweet, think we did. My whole attitude on MC Ren. It's my neighborhood now, Bob, I bought that. 400 years, how you still ain't caught that? I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm trying to do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir. I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they say. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out.
Yes. Welcome to another episode of the LANCESCURV show. We have our beautiful nurse, Nevaeh. And you can't see her, but I can. And if you saw her, you wouldn't be listening to what she's saying. She's a beautiful specimen of black womanhood. Doesn't mean it's just a black thing, but the black womanhood and the black woman is the supreme being of all the universe that brought all life to us. And you see Nevaeh, she has nurse and ahead of it, and that means she's a healer. But all of our sisters are healers, and she knows more than anything else that she is a supreme healer, and she does that quite well. In all of the years that I've known her, all of the decades that I've known her, she has studied and toiled and learned and knows so much, and she's going to tell the truth. So when she speaks, you listen, because she's not going to hold back. Why she doesn't show her face? Well, you know how this world is. You know how this government is. You know how they watch everything that we do. I know I got 5 government agencies watching me, but it's okay. We protect those that share the information with us, and we're going to share it anyway. Come after me. I'll be the one to catch the bullet, but you know what? We're going to protect her. And I love you so much, my dear sister. It's been a long time that we've known each other, and you got to this point not easy. It was not a hard road, but it was a tough road. Now you stand at the pinnacle You know that word that we share, right?
Yes.
Now you studying the political. That's a special word. If, like I said, if anybody ever says, listen, Lance said this, and you say, cold word.
Pinnacle.
That's right. Then it's me. Then it's me. If there's two of us out there and one doesn't say it, shoot that one. How you doing tonight, sweetheart? I'm glad to see you.
I'm blessed. I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
You know, you brought on something this week where my friend Mr. Political and simply Angela started to talk about mental health. Even though your show is after theirs, but some of theirs are recorded already, whatever, you're the one who put it out to the universe first and made it happen. And now, you know, the best is for last, and you know it more than anybody else because of your studies. And I just want you to flow, and I'll be here. I'll be your dancing partner, but you take the lead and I'll follow. And so that's where we'll go.
Well, thank you for having me. I have been in mental health for about 9 years now. Actually, I've studied multiple areas of nursing, but mental health is part of my passion.
Right.
And so I can't really leave the mental health arena because mental health is the big thing right now.
Right.
You know, with the situation that's going on in the world, I think everyone is going through something mentally.
Yes.
You know, and you can't ignore it. It's part of our life right now. Just not knowing what is coming tomorrow. Not being able to plan our lives as we were 2 years ago.
Right.
So I'm sure a lot of people are suffering with anxiety and depression. And, you know, some people are going through financial distress and just a lot of things that will affect your mental health right now.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You're right. And it's not like you can stockpile a good state of mind. But I know many of us just weren't prepared because, in a sense, now they see what's more important. It's not a matter of, well, good, now this is happening. Now you see what you needed to do. No, I'm not saying it that way. But now you know to let go certain things that are just not important. And if and when, I'm not going to say things go back to normal because then we'd fall back and regress. But whatever we have as far as our loved ones and letting go of the things that are frivolous that we don't need, we need to let go of those things. We need to throw those baggage out and focus on what's the most important. You know what I mean?
Right.
And in getting there, of course, I want you to kind of help us out in what to do and just take it from the beginning, from where you stand, the way you want to do it. So I'll shut up right now.
You can never talk too much with me. But, you know, I mean, there's just so many things that we should do to maintain our mental health right now. And, you know, mental health, especially when it comes to depression, people have to understand that it's normal to be depressed, but it's not normal to have thoughts of hurting yourself. Okay. So when you're depressed and you have thoughts of hurting yourself, then that's on a whole different level. So that's when we start talking about chemical imbalances with depression. And unfortunately, a lot of people have been committing suicide lately. And one of my friends, her son, actually 19 years old, just killed himself about a month ago.
Oh,
And
man.
yeah, and it's just, you know, it's sad when you have all these people in a house and no one saw the signs. And then you have people that were in the next room and they're screaming, I could have stopped it. I could have stopped it. But, you know, I don't think when someone's really serious, especially a young man, because a lot of young men, they really don't express when they're going to hurt themselves. Young girls will, you know, girls will actually tell someone or cry out for attention before a young man will. So, of course, it's important to talk to your sons and try to find out what their thought process is. And I think it's really hard for young people right now, you know, with all of this pandemic stuff, you got COVID, in the schools, and then they're debating on whether they should get vaccinated, and if they do get vaccinated, are they going to become sterile? Are they going to have be able to have children? Are they going to have cardiomyopathy from the vaccine? There's just so much unknown right now. So it's a very stressful time for our young people, especially. I couldn't imagine my children being young right now and having to either think about homeschool or send them to school, or just the whole idea of what these kids have to go through. And as a parent, just trying to deal with that, I couldn't even imagine. So I'm glad, I'm very grateful that my children are over 21 at this point.
And also, they can thank the heavens that they have a mother like you, because you're on top of things. They say sometimes that the plumber, his pipes are leaking, the painter's paint is chipping, and there's weeds in the gardener's garden. But you're not one to neglect at home. You've been very protective and very informative, and you lead by example. And I have to say and commend you on your children, which they're not children anymore. But everybody has little things growing up, right? But for the most part, I know that they are very stable and grounded, and you have loved them. I mean, you love them so much, and you are always in the process of loving them. And we're all going to feel it no matter how much we had that or where we find ourselves in the world. But I'm just glad for someone like you to come onto this platform, which, you can come anytime. You don't have to ask me. Just tell me. But we need to take this very serious, because we understand, especially with our men in our community, we're like the oaks. We're like the oak tree. And the oak tree is real strong. But then you have the palm tree, and they're like our sisters. And when the wind blows and the hurricane comes, the palm tree bends a little bit and lets the wind go by, and they're flexible. They will speak more, like you said. But the oak tree, I'm strong and I don't have to say anything. And that's what snaps it, you see, because we have to be tough. We have to not say, it's okay to cry, brothers. It's okay to go out and say, hey, I need help, and reach out to someone. Even if you don't want to speak to anybody in your family, you do so to somebody who you feel close to outside of your family. You know what I mean? I'm always going to express myself. If I need to shed tears or cry out or laugh or do whatever, I'm going to address the problem, because I understand. But the process of doing that, and this is not to say our sisters don't need that, but I'm finding through looking at statistics that, especially in the Black community, more and more we're committing suicide at younger ages.
That's correct. And that is very unusual, because Black, the community, we would normally speak before we act upon something. In years past, anyway, my 9 years of experience, didn't really hear too much about Black suicide, but now it's more common every day, especially this year, 2021. And it's really, really sad. And I understand, I think that our Black community, we're so accustomed to trying to get together, have cookouts and, all these different things. And then when you feel like you're limited, or let's say that, even, having a social life, wanting to go out and date someone, and you're limited because you don't know if you can trust that person, because they might, they might have the, the C word. And so you don't even know, because you have people that are
the HIV letters, the herpes, the STDs, the whatever. You know what I mean? The psycho, whatever. And we have needs as human beings, and things have changed so fast.
Exactly. And so, so things can get very lonely really fast right now in 2021. And, and I'm not just speaking on a professional standpoint, but I'm talking about as a single Black woman myself, and how I have been avoiding dates. And, and I'll share an experience with you that I had recently. Actually, I had met a gentleman a couple months ago, and thank goodness he's on the road with business a lot. But I met up with him for dinner one time, and I had to do a whole assessment, my whole nursing assessment, make sure he wasn't sick, and wore mask and everything. and then we were going to go ahead and meet up a second time, for dinner and everything, and I heard him coughing on the phone. And it was a dry cough, and so I was like, "Are you okay?" And he says, "Well, I got this scratch in my throat." I was like, "Oh God, this is how it starts." And sure enough, he has COVID currently. And he's on week 2 of it. Thank goodness he's over the hump of it. Because last week around this time he couldn't even speak. He was so coughing and weak, extremely tired. But my whole point is that what if I did not assess him in a video chat and realized that he had that dry cough? Then I would have met up with him, and then I would have gotten it. So
Yeah, you'd be
that
in
would
week 1. He'd be in week 2.
exactly. So it's pretty scary right now, with the whole trying to meet new people, especially when you're single, and taking that risk, and then, like you said, you don't know if someone's bipolar, whatever they're going through, especially if you don't know how to assess the situation. And so it's pretty tough right now, to not just deal with the whole pandemic, but then just deal with the whole socializing in itself, because it can get real lonely for a lot of people.
Well, I'm glad you addressed that because you don't hear that too much. I mean, I read a lot of articles on mental health and just stuff in general. Every day I try to see what's out there, maybe something that's coming over the horizon that we can talk about that pertains to us or how it will affect us. And that's one thing that many people don't think about. But, I mean, you probably saved his life from that early assessment, right? But in you being in the medical profession, okay, you said that you've been in this particular arm of it for 9 years, but it's double that or much, much more than just that. So you have prior knowledge on other things, and this has always been your interest. But on the dating tip and meeting people, so many people tend to forget that something's out there. I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to say that something's out there that they put out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not too good. I had something about a month and a half ago that I got over. It took me like a month to get over the thing. It was probably whatever it is that they put out there. It was rough. It was rough. You know what I mean? I wasn't even thinking that could be it, because out here in Accra, the numbers are extremely low. There's something in the food, in the air, in the atmosphere, something, right?
Yes.
But that being said, depending on your situation, like, okay, you said you put it out there, you're a single Black woman. It's got to be tough. It's got to be tough, especially when you're a professional, you got it going on, and you're very beautiful inside and out. So I know the people are coming at you. You go to the supermarket and they're watching. You walk down the street, you get the red light and they're looking at you. So and you have needs. I'm not just saying anything behind closed doors. The social needs. You're a woman. You need to be loved. You need to be in something. And then you watch the world change around you. And when I think about our younger children and younger folks and teenagers in the early 20s, this is a shame that this is the world that they embrace. This is the world that was handed to them. And just to speak directly to them, just say, for example, you were talking to somebody who they're about to put a bullet in their head. And we have to say it raw so people know what it is. So they're about to take some pills or drive themselves off a cliff or whatever. Talk to them like they're there right now, and I won't shut up until you're done. Just please, beyond the scope of being a nurse, as a mother, with all of that, about the chemical imbalances and different things,
Right.
we had it better coming up, but what would you tell them?
Well, right now, with mental health, we have to be bold. And when I did do mental health full time, I had to be bold with my patients. And you have to ask that question. You can't beat around the bush, and you have to say, are you having thoughts of hurting yourself? Or hurting someone else? Because it's not just about hurting yourself. You could be thinking about hurting someone else and yourself together. So you have to be really bold with it. And if they do express that they're having thoughts of hurting themselves or someone else, you need to find out, how are they planning on doing this? You need to also have a plan of how you can help them, because you can't just have the conversation and walk away. So you have to know what goes on in your environment, because I know, I'm in the US, and every state has a different mental health law. And when I was in Florida, Florida, all you had to just say the word that you were going to hurt yourself, and I could call the police, even if it wasn't even true. And I could say, oh, well, my friend is having thoughts of hurting themselves, and the police would pick you up in your bed, out of your bed, if you were
Right.
there, and take you
Baker
to
act.
a facility. They will Baker-act you, and you will be there for at least 24 hours until you're deemed safe by a psychiatrist. And if not 24 hours, you're there 72 hours, if or more, if you're really dangerous. So so you could, it's almost like going to jail, and just making sure that, until they make sure that you're safe before they let you go. you know so I think just knowing what to do, or how to help someone, and because you can't, as a non-professional, even, and even as a professional, I'll be honest with you, I have a friend that is a social worker, and this is what she does. She diagnoses people, and everything, and her sister committed suicide, and she was just blaming herself, because she's like, as a professional, how could she miss her sister being depressed to that point to where she killed herself? So even as a professional, sometimes we miss things, or we ignore things. So it's best to not turn your head when you see something. If you see someone giving away their belongings, and they're extremely happy, and something's not right. Why are you giving away your belongings? What were you planning on going on a trip? Are you moving? What is your plan? So that's a sign as well. Someone extremely happy that's giving away their stuff, because they've already made a plan to go on to the next life. Okay. So you have to watch out for that behavior as well, or someone that, is locked up in the room all the time, um, not eating, um, just just signs of depression that you might see. You have to look out, because sometimes we just ignore those things, and it should not be ignored. And it, like I said, you have to find out where the help is in your community. And I know that it's not everywhere, unfortunately, because a lot of, especially in the United States, a lot of government agencies have cut out mental health, and they don't think it's important. And then that's when you have these mass shootings, and or double suicides and stuff, because the they ignored the signs. And if someone did try to get them help, then guess what? There was no funding to help them. So it's really sad. It's a very difficult um, topic, or situation to be able to deal with. For me, I, coming from someone that had suffered with depression for a long time, believe it or not, and I think it's because, I, like you said, I was a single mother for many
Yes,
years.
I remember. I remember those
Yeah,
days.
yeah,
Yeah.
and many years of
Yeah.
depression.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But you made
many
it.
years.
So you're an example. You're an example, and nobody has any more right to speak about it than you, because it was tough, right? And
Oh
you had
yeah,
to be strong for your children and to keep things going. And
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I tell you, and as if there's any single mothers listening right now, I know how tough it is. And I know, like, for me, I chose not to bring a man into the household with my children, because I had three girls. And I did not want to bring a man into the household with my children, because I was like, oh, this man could hurt my children or do something to my girls, because no one's going to treat your children the same way you would. I mean, not anyone. Well, you have to find an extraordinary person that's going to treat them as their own, to be honest with you. And that's very hard to find.
The
So I,
chances are it's not going to happen that way. So just don't even
exactly.
hope for that. Just do the right thing and protect them.
Exactly. And so that's what I had to do, and work, and just protect them any way I could, by pretty much not getting into serious relationships and stuff like that, but but people don't realize that the loneliness and sadness that a single mother has to go through when you do long for
Speak on
an
that. Speak on
individual.
that.
I'm sorry.
No, I said speak on that really deep. Just
Yeah.
because there are a lot of people that reach out to me doing the show and stuff like that, and there's things I know to say, and there's things it's like, wow, I'm not a professional. I don't have this experience to know, so I don't
Well,
put myself like that. But sometimes I just want somebody to talk to. But for you, being a professional and have been in a situation of severe depression, and a lot of our sisters, they still make it through, but they get touched in a way where it leaves scars. Talk to them
right.
specifically on
Well, I will say, I mean, I could write several books on my life, so because it wasn't a walk in the park, and so basically, the depression, you have to know what type of depression you have. Do you have situational depression or do you have hereditary depression? It's situational could be, okay, I just lost my job, or I just, ended a relationship with someone, or you just lost your house, or whatever. That's situational. You know, so that's just temporary. But you need to do something to help that situation so that you don't feel like it's not going to get better. Okay. But when it's hereditary depression, meaning it runs in the family, believe it or not, you have chemicals in your brain. And those things we inherit from our mom and dad and our grandparents, and believe it or not, some things just run in the family. That's why you see um, alcoholics. They're drinking. Oh, well, granddaddy was an alcoholic and daddy was an alcoholic. Then you're an alcoholic and you wonder why. It's because it's a genetic type thing, addiction in that family. So then you need to know what to do to not become that alcoholic or how to control that gene. What do you need to take for it? And so for me, I had, like I said, trying to raise three kids and wanting to go to school, but then I'm also wanting my children to have a decent life and, putting them in dance and class and all these different things to keep them out of trouble, and I just had to come up with a plan. And it was really tough because I realized that I was depressed, I was stressed, and I needed help. So thank goodness I had a great doctor, and this doctor has known me since I was pretty much born. I grew up with his kids, and he asked me. He says, "Are you depressed?" And I said, "Yes, I'm depressed." Um, and he says, "You know what? I could." He says, I could actually admit you into a facility. That's how depressed I was. And he says, "But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give you some medication." And so he started me on Wellbutrin XL, and I had to take Wellbutrin literally for like 6 years until I was able to finish nursing school. Even I went through my prerequisites and everything, and finally finished nursing school because that doctor realized that every time I got into school or tried to accomplish something, I would get depressed. So I needed help. And so what I had to learn by taking those medications at the time was you shouldn't be ashamed to ask for help. And literally, once I finished school, I felt great, and he weaned me off of the Wellbutrin, and I haven't been on it since. And that's been many years now. And so I believe that my depression all the time was situational because I was just trying to take care of my house, trying to accomplish something, and it was tough. And so I needed that medication for that time. And now I don't need it, So just knowing who you are mentally, you have to know, was my mother depressed? Was my father depressed? How were they? A lot of times I think, especially in the Black community, we don't pay attention to what our parents were doing. That's why a lot of times I'll get patients and I'll ask questions to my Black patients, And they're like, oh, well, I don't know what my mama had, or I don't know what my grandmother died of. And it's really sad because we just didn't pay attention. All we knew was that they worked hard, and that was it, you know. But were they depressed? What did they have to go through to get where they were? You know, and I know, you know, looking back at things now that I have been a mental health nurse for a long time, which I'm not a mental health nurse anymore, but still, like I said, mental health is still a large part of my life. You know, I can think back of things that my mother did. She had anxiety. She wouldn't drive faster than 30 miles per hour on the road. And now that I think about it, I'm like, wow, my mother had depression and anxiety, you know? And so, you know, so you have to think about those situations or those things, those behaviors that your parents had. And you're just thinking, oh, well, you know, she's just scared. You know, she was just scared. You know, was it scared or was it actually anxiety? And anxiety is a true problem. And anxiety and depression go hand in hand a lot of times.
And could you imagine those of us who, especially back in prior generations, didn't know and they still won according to the outside world, where it's like running a race in the Olympics, a sprint with a 100-pound plate in the knapsack on your back.
Mm-hmm.
And you know you have this weight on you. And yet you face the race and you still win, but it's damaging you.
But you know what the difference is?
Victory that you got this house and you raised your kids and you put them through school, and they can't even really celebrate because there's an underlying problem or challenge that even they don't know exactly what it is. But even from you saying if it's a thing, generational thing, or just situational, that alone, maybe somebody, if they don't take anything else from this particular dialogue, that they'll understand that to not be overwhelmed what it might be. This might be a temporary situation that's severe, but it's going to go away, or this is something that's been going on. And again, we usually don't know what our parents' makeup is, as far as, you know, different things they were going through and didn't know what that was, because going back to, you know, even the days of slavery, not that all of us went through that experience, but those dysfunctional rhythms and ways of not communicating are passed down because you had to keep on producing. So we ignored those things, and you know, bad things happen with that.
But I'll tell you the difference between 2021 and 1821 or 1921. The difference is, if you think about your mother or you think about your grandmother or anyone before them, they had a base that we don't have today. And that's spirituality. And I don't care what religion you are or anything. If you don't have a spiritual base and don't believe in a higher power and how to channel your stressors to those powers, you're going to be in a bad situation, especially this day and age. And I really believe that's why the suicide rate is up, because we don't know how to channel it elsewhere. And you know, my grandmother could sit and pray for literally 6 hours. Okay. My mother could sit and pray and have her spiritual base for hours as well. But nowadays, a lot of people are not taught a spiritual base anymore. And I believe because that spirituality is out, we don't know where to turn to. And that makes it even harder. So even if they suffered genetically with depression and anxiety, guess what? They knew how to sing, even if they couldn't sing. They knew how to pray. and they knew how to just express themselves. I don't care if they walk. My grandmother was 87 years old and was walking 6-9 miles a day. Okay, so are we physically doing what we should do to release and boost the serotonin levels in our head? Or are we just sitting on the couch and saying, woe is me? You know, so I just believe that you have to know how to channel those stressors elsewhere in order to keep a sane mind right now.
That's a big part of it. That's a major part of it. I couldn't say it like you do, but I've always felt that by design, we've been disconnected and led astray from the spiritual core. Again, like you said, it doesn't matter which way you worship or what religion you call yourself. We know we've been duped on so many ways, and things have been rewired. But we as a people have been forever linked to a higher level of spirituality. And I think the enemy by design has made it long term to remove these things that support us and keep us strong, because our strength has been used to build civilizations for other people, but now we're not needed anymore. So just pull the rug from under their feet and let them self-destruct. I don't think it's going to get any better if we don't address that. But for you as a professional, maybe you may not be allowed to say that exactly, but see, we're keeping this banner over and nobody knows who you are that way, right? But I think that is a big part of it that needs to be pushed and need to be spoken on, as far as healing, because, and it's not even it's a knowing. We say belief, but it's a knowing. When you really, really, really know, even if you call it this and I call it something different, at least we know this thing we're connected to, and that's what pulls us through. And you're right, it's been pulled away. How do we remedy that? I mean, because, with government agencies and different things, according to law, you're not allowed to push that because that's something else than what they say. You have to follow protocol. How do you work around that? Maybe not you who are there, but how do you kind of go around under the table and suggest that we as a people en masse get back to what we knew from before on a deeper level, no matter
Yes.
what you call it?
Well, I will say that, when I was full time in the mental health arena, I would have group sessions with my patients and a nursing group session. And I didn't just teach about medication, because medication helps in certain level, but how do you cope? You have to have discussions about coping with everyone. I don't care if it's your friend, if it's your children, you have to have a discussion about coping. How do you cope? Do you go running? Do you, whatever you do? I mean, do you sit there and meditate? How do you cope with things? Because this is the thing. If you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off, if someone cuts you off, you have two options. You can either get mad and become aggressive toward them, or you know what, you can just say, oh well, they were just let them go. So how do you cope with those certain types of situations? And that's how life is, coping. And what I taught my patients, because a lot of them would get these anxiety attacks and they're like, give me a pill, give me something now. And I'm like, no, before you get that pill, I need you to relax, take some deep breaths. I need you to try to meditate, close your eyes, think of something positive. Let's talk about this. So, there's just certain things that I think that people need to know how to do, especially since they're not being taught about channeling that anger or that depression elsewhere, or praying to whatever religion that they have. For me, it's God, and I believe that that's what brought me through all types of situations. I have been molested, I've been raped, and I don't think you are aware of my past, Lance, but I've been through so much. And for me to still love and care for people and want to help people, and that's my passion, it's only God, my creator, that has brought me through those things. And if I did not learn how to express that, I could be one of my patients that are schizophrenic, hearing voices because they were traumatized by a rape. I could be that person that, hey, I had $230,000 taken from me. I lost everything. But guess what? I had a patient that got 40,000 stolen from them. And guess what? Totally lost their mind. So I could have been that person. But I believe that when you know how to channel it and cope with the situation differently, then things turn out better. Your mental state turns out better. And I was just seeing some things coming on the screen, and someone says they're in the house 24/7. Come out the house. You don't have to be around people. I'm not around people, and I'm a professional. When I'm at work, I do what I have to do. I protect myself. I work, but when I'm home, literally, especially nowadays, I will go hiking. I bought an RV recently, and guess what? I am doing all the remodeling on it.
You
I'm
hooked
doing
that.
things.
I gotta
Yeah.
interrupt you.
Uh-huh.
You hooked that bad boy up. You hooked when you showed me everything open, and I was like, oh man, for real. You are. While none of us can always claim we're super free if we have to go to work, whatever, but you do what you want to do, and you free, and you invested in that, and that's a good thing. You have your space, you have your freedom, and your head's in the right place, and you're the best that you've ever been. And I know we always have little external things that may try to pop in our way, but
Hmm.
getting the grip on ourselves and knowing that you're worthy, knowing that you're loved. I love you. Everybody here loves you. And I didn't know maybe every single aspect, but for me, when I talk to a sister, casual or whatever, we know how things are bad. And I assume that maybe some degree of that happened.
Hmm.
But again, you need to write a book or do a podcast on a regular or something when you have more time, because what you know and me combining that with some things I've known that you went through, um, uh, it was traumatic. I know. I'll just say this in private, in a public way, but it's nothing to reveal anything I know. You took a trip to Jamaica, remember?
Yes. Well, I've
And what
taken
came,
quite a few trips to Jamaica.
well, well, yeah. You met someone there, and it
Yes.
wasn't nice,
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'll say. And I'll say the little. I know, and I'm an empath, so I can feel things. But there's so much out here that even when we are pushing hard and doing the right thing, and it's like we're almost being drained because we're putting out more than what we have in. And then here comes along the predators to try to take us off, or just the venomous people that just want to see us. They just want to. They don't have any heart toward us.
Hmm.
So you got to be careful, because they will say the right things, and also kind of touch on that in an indirect way, where you're going to have to re-vet people that are around you that may have had their orange extension cord plugged to your house, and you don't know why you got the high light bill. They're draining you. And how do you deal with that? If it could be a friend that you've known for a long time, or some coworker that you have to face, these draining entities, how do you get them off of you? You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Yes. Well, let me tell you, you know, that Jamaica situation I brought back to the United States with me. And that individual had me lose everything, everything. And I will say that that situation made me suicidal at the time. And I literally I remember forgetting, I forgot to go to work for 2 days. Can you believe that? I forgot because I was so depressed from losing everything. And like I said, I had 3 children, not knowing what happened, but watching their mother pretty much lay in bed and wishing that I would not wake up. And I was not well, really not well from that situation, because you trust people. People make promises to you, and you give them everything or give them access to everything that you have, and then they destroy you for whatever reason. Um, I will go back to spirituality. If I did not have spirituality, the thoughts that were going through my head, I would have eliminated that individual's life, and I did not. But those were the thoughts that were going through my head, and also eliminated my own. But I am still here, and I can still smile right now. And I can also thank God for that terrible experience, because it would never happen to me again. Because now I know better. Now I know that God, or our Creator, is the only one that we can trust with everything. And you have to unfortunately, you cannot take the shirt off your back and just give it away, because you have to protect yourself in this world. Okay? And I'm not saying not to help people, but when people sometimes come in and they appear way too friendly and they want to flash that Bible in your face and say, oh, and they can quote every scripture, those are the shiny serpents that we must look out for. And that person that took everything from me was a serpent, and he could quote every scripture in the Bible and make everything look beautiful and made me lose everything. But I will tell you, that person did go to prison. I don't know if I told you that. He went to prison.
You did. You did. And the aspect of, I'm not cutting you, but the aspect of, he showed and proved for a while on a financial level to dupe you.
Yes, that's correct.
See? Yeah, he came off. That's what I want to insert in there. That she just wasn't some sitting duck or whatever, just gullible, whatnot. You're very smart. But he came in and showed you and did, and I mean, just slapping the money down and fixing this and doing that. And how could you not? It must be real.
Yes.
He's proving this.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, he's in prison. The alphabet boys got him. But go ahead and you continue, sweetheart.
Well, he's out now. And he's out now. He did a few years. But the thing is that if in any business, you have to spend money to make money. Every business professional knows this. So sometimes it takes a little bit of money to gain money. Okay. So if I show you that, I invested $2,000 in something, but then I made 300,000 back, would you not join in? Would you not think it was a great deal? And you're going to go ahead and get to a couple thousand and give it to me so that I can do the same for you. So that's how a true criminal can make something look real nice. Bernie Madoff, all these people, they got millions and millions of people because that's what they showed them. Hey, I put in this little bit of money and I got this much back. And had to gain trust from people in order to take everything that they had, and that's unfortunately that's what happened, but I will say that yes, I lost car, house, a lot of money, but guess what? God has blessed me so much in return through the years that I've made that, and I'm going to say at least tenfold. So I can smile about it now and just use my wisdom to help others avoid that situation, so it doesn't happen to them.
That shows that no matter what you go through, like I always say, the sun is always shining no matter how thick the clouds get. And maybe when you were in that particular position in that time, you couldn't understand that there is still a sun in existence, and upon hearing that, it really hurt me because you're such a pure soul, but you ain't dumb, okay? And you're still a pure soul, but you're not gonna let that happen again. And no, that was wrong. And that's to show you, and I tell a lot of our sisters, and there's some women out here who are pretty good at what they do, right? But you can't let somebody in that fast. It's just, wish we could sometimes just be nice to everybody. But the predators are so slick to pick up your vibe and your essence and promise you something and mold himself into being that one by reading you. You see what I mean? See, people don't understand that the evil people can read you just as good as maybe that old grandmother who, been in religion or church, but the whole spiritual thing. I just won't say church, right? But really connected. They can read you and give you what it is that they think you want to open you up and whatever. But they showed and proved really, really big. The example that you used was real small, but I mean, wow. The guy was good,
Yeah,
right?
he
As
was
far
real
as
good.
I'm not saying he was good. I'm just saying like for what he does, but he got caught up, and that's good. And
Yeah, well,
he needs to get beat up and beheaded and thrown back in. Seriously.
you know, the unfortunate part, apparently, it was so big that the Secret Service got involved. And when the Secret Service is involved, you know it's massive. It's
Yeah.
not, this is like, yeah, it was on a different level. So he literally had gotten like one of the very large banks in New York for $350,000 in counterfeit checks. And he got a lot of regular people like me, literally for millions of dollars. But I was the only person that was able to at least put him away for 5 years. Um, and because there was just something in me just dealing with him, I kept every little piece of paper he threw in the garbage. And I don't know why, but I did. And I was able to turn that over when the Secret Service decided to approach me, um, because they started investigating him and they found my name, and they thought that I was a business partner of his. And so they started watching me, my family, my sister, my mother. And I guess when they realized that we really didn't have a life and that we were actually victims of his, then that's when they came in and started questioning, what the deal was. And so I was able to basically, because I was so angry about what he had done to me, that I had hired someone to find him for me. And so me finding him allowed the Secret Service to know his location. And then they were able to catch him in the act, cashing a fake check at a bank. And so that's what got him. And it was in the newspaper up north and everything. And so he did the 5 years. And what was so scary was um, they were releasing him early for good behavior, and they were transporting him to another facility, and he decided to escape. And he didn't know he was early released, but anyway, he escaped. And so I kept getting a digital call from the prison system saying that this prisoner, and they gave his prison number, his inmate number, and they said, "Oh, he has escaped." And I'm getting this call like for 2 days straight about him escaping, and I started freaking out because I was thinking, "Oh my goodness, I'm the only person that put him away. He's gonna come and kill me," you know. And so, literally, I was just doing everything. I wound up. I went and bought a weapon, and just everything because I'm like, "Oh, this person's going to come back and kill me." But he didn't. They actually found
Good.
him. They
Good.
found him at home. They found him at home visiting his family, and so then they put him back in for a couple more years.
Good.
So yeah, so he wasn't that smart of an individual after all. Because why would you go back home? But anyway, you know so like I said, it's just you know if you see me and all that I have been through in this life, and that I can still genuinely love and care for people and praise God every day, you know then no matter what you are going through, just know that you can get through it. you know and I'm just saying that, um mental health, it's not, like I said, it is a chemical thing, it is a spiritual thing. um but I believe that it can be very physical, because if you don't take care of yourself and you're eating fried food every day, and you're not getting the right vitamins and minerals and certain things in your body, then your mental health can be off as well. I discovered something this year that I believe helped me tremendously in my mood and my energy. And have you heard of ashwagandha?
I heard of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, wait. I might have a little bottle in there, or like a powder. I think it is, right?
you can get it in a powder form, or a
Yeah.
tablet form. I
Yeah.
got it in a tablet form.
And Dr.
And
Kane gave me some, but it was a mix. It was mixed with something else. But we do
okay,
have it here. Yeah.
Yeah, ashwagandha. Now that is a natural herb that does help with mood, excuse me, and depression. And I will really tell you that it keeps you going. It keeps your mood up. It might relax some people. So if have any stress or anxiety, it will calm you. But I really think that ashwagandha works. So if you are that person that just want to try something natural, try some ashwagandha, take it for a month and see how you feel. But it is really amazing for me, because I'm always, I that there's like, no matter what the situation, I'm the calm nurse, I'm the calm one, and so I just feel that the ashwagandha, has helped my mood. It helps my anxiety. So, just try it out, look into it, research it.
Even your voice is so calming.
Oh, well, thank you.
Everybody must know that when they hear you, and to you've been through so much. It's like an odometer that goes all the way around and hits 1,000,000 miles and comes back to 000. It's like I could never tell if I didn't know you. And for those who may not know you personally, who are listening to your words, you have no idea. And even I don't know everything, because it's not going to go run down a whole list. But man, you have been through, and it has honed you to be the strong person that you are and always have been. It's almost like you did it by yourself. And I know you have people that love you, and when all of that was going on, I would have house sat for you and waited for him to come. Trust me. I don't like stuff like that. That bothers me. I don't like to see any woman feel like she's going to be the victim of somebody coming around doing this, especially when it's always the loving souls that catch it when you watch the news and they say she didn't deserve this, and she would do anything for you. I don't like that. I'm not saying to do anything to anybody, but what happened to the rotten ones that should be up next for certain things, that do things to people? But we don't understand how things are in this world, and one day we will understand. But for you to keep on the track of being who you are and looking to help, that's it's going to amplify all that you have coming to you good, and to still have that spirit to want to help, because it takes a lot. It takes a whole lot.
Yeah, it really does. And I know, I mean, the stressors that exist right now, it's tough. It's really tough. And I think this is probably the toughest time um, that a lot of people have gone through. Every time you look on Facebook, you see that there's someone that knows someone that died from what's going on, or this person didn't have life insurance or whatever, and here you go trying to raise money to bury them, and it's just so much going on, you know. Um, and so, I just think that just we have to know how to, channel the negative energy and that depression and the anxiety elsewhere. We cannot, our bodies are not made to hold all that inside, because when we hold it inside, it creates illness. And, whether you know it or not, we all have cancer cells in our body. And it just takes one thing to trigger it to make it really bad. So you don't want to hold those things inside. You have to release it somehow, you know, and just knowing yourself and what you need. What do you need, to get it out?
That's profound. So maybe there's some of us who have a more of a sense of urgency, knowing that the accumulation of, or one thing that would trigger it off, that among other things, and to kind of forget that our bodies are so complex and we have different stimuli coming at us that didn't exist several years ago. I mean, you take a chemical in the water and a chemical in the air that are two separate chemicals, and your body can deal with them one at a time, but you put them together to become something different. And we don't know how these things originate. The water that we drink and the things in the food that are approved. There are things here in Ghana that the United States wouldn't let come in. You know, as much as I talk about America, like, okay, you know, certain things that may be stringent on and certain things that may come after us on, but there's certain things used here that would never be used as fertilizer or something that you can put on your food. And if you're not hip to it, you're like, wait a second. It depends on the country. Like you said, different states have a different mental health protocol. Well, different countries, you think you eating ketchup and it's ketchup, but it's something else. This is poison in here. So it's really imperative that we focus on what we put in our body. It's not just that, it's our spirituality, our mental state, and just kind of always gauge, because now we're living life like we're driving a vehicle that doesn't have an odometer, a dashboard, you know, so we need to think as far as the gauges of us. How am I feeling? Did I sleep good last night? Am I eating better? Is there something bothering me? I didn't want to go to work today and I got all my rest. Why didn't I want to go? Break it down. We are our own best doctors.
That's true.
Talk to me about that.
You know, I'll tell you, you know, because with what I do right now, if anyone got me on the last time I was on here, I'm an interventional radiology nurse. And basically what I do is we do procedures that a lot of people don't even know exist. So I may be the person to sedate you for bone marrow biopsy, liver biopsy, lung biopsies, or the person that would sedate you to get a chest tube put in, especially with this whole COVID, the C thing going on. You know, you might need a chest tube, or maybe your lung drained, you know, because there's too much fluid. And some people have heart surgery and then they have fluid around their lungs and stuff. So we drain those things. And another thing we drain abdomens because livers go bad. And one thing about our bodies are designed to fix themselves. And when we have done enough damage to them, they can't fix themselves anymore. And they kind of go into this mode to where it's going to create fluid. And you'll be surprised, that fluid, you don't know where that fluid is coming from, but it's coming. When your liver can't filter anymore, your belly comes out like you're a pregnant person. And so a lot of times that's liver failure. And whether people know it or not, alcohol is the biggest drug in the world. Okay? But guess what? It's legal. Alcohol damages, if people don't realize this, but you drink a lot of alcohol and then guess what? You have a hangover the next day and you go ahead and take Tylenol. Guess what you just did? You just messed up your liver, because all of that alcohol is absorbed right into the liver. And this is what they should teach you in school. If you're going to drink alcohol, don't take Tylenol the next day, because all it does is just make that alcohol go straight to your liver. You're just damaging your liver. So yeah, you know, it's just, you know, I think that there should be more education when it comes to substances that we take and put into our bodies. But unfortunately, they want to teach you about Romeo and Juliet committing suicide in school rather than teaching you about how to take care of yourself, you know, and yet with what is going on. Oh, okay. I was just reading what comments you had going on the screen. So anyway.
Yeah, I put it back up.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay. I'm not sure if that's on topic or not, but anyway, you know, if the thing is that what I'm seeing now, because I've been in this field since the 90s, since the late 90s, well, mid 90s. I'm not going to tell my age, but you know,
believe it anyway. They wouldn't believe it anyway if you took 20 years off of your age in total. They don't see what I see.
Thank you. So, but you know, the thing is, back in the 90s, before I was a nurse, I was a CNA at the time. I remember that if you were diagnosed with high blood pressure, the doctors would actually come in and say, you know what? You need to stop eating all that salt. You need to stop eating pork, because pork, this, it's just, it'll raise your blood pressure, you know, and so, but they don't do that anymore. Instead, I think because no one was compliant with diet or anything. And so now it's just like, you know what? Why don't you just take this pill and we'll put a band-aid over the wound. We're not going to fix you. We're not going to fix you, but we're going to put a band-aid over your wound. Okay? And you're just going to have to take this for the rest of your life. And so that's what it's come to. And I see, even with this whole pandemic we got going on, same thing. Instead of educating people about, hey, why don't you take this or why don't you do that? Get your immune system up. Build your immune system. No, look, go and take that jab. Go take the jab first. That's what you got to do. And so, because I know a lot of people that have had the C thing, and guess what? They gotten better, maybe because their immune systems weren't that bad. You know what I mean? But then you see people that die that, it attacked whatever weak link they had in their body. So, but all I see now is that educating our people about care for themselves is just gone. It's lost, And I will say that in my time, like I said, going back to the alcohol thing, if you want to see someone die, watch them go through alcohol withdrawal. Alcohol withdrawal is the only withdrawal you will see someone die from. Okay? You can be on crack, you can be on whatever, and watch the withdrawal. They're not going to die, but they will die from alcohol withdrawal. Why
question.
is it? Yeah.
Well, no, go ahead. Finish what you're saying. I have a question.
So why is that not taught in society is all I'm saying.
Yeah, question. When I used to work over there by the jail, and before we had a hospital crew, it was a dedicated crew that went out with any of the inmates and had any medical issues that couldn't be handled by the nurses there. Before that, so we would get overtime, and we used to have to stay with them until the next shift came through. So I worked all night, and they told me, if I asked me if I wanted to go, because I had the next few days off. So I was like, okay, I'll throw one more. And so I'm sitting in the hospital, and there was a white man who, he wasn't as old as his age. On the records, I saw what his age was. He was like maybe close to 40, but he looked like he was near 70, right? And he was a lifelong alcoholic, but they had just arrested him. But they couldn't bring him in because they said basically it was DTs. That's like,
yes. Right.
Okay.
He was going through withdrawal, alcohol withdrawal. Yes.
Right. And so I couldn't believe how this man went on all morning, right? He hadn't slept in a long time. He couldn't talk. He was out of it. His main thing was alcohol. And he saw some up in the cabinets when they opened up, the nurse opened up and he saw it. Do you know the whole shift? He was cuffed, as you're supposed to be. That's protocol. You're cuffed to the bed. You have the little rails there. You're cuffed to it, and you're shackled by your legs and everything. Then you have the belly chain that we put that around also so they can't get up. I'm going to show you how he did his. He was sitting here reaching for the cabinet that he couldn't reach. His hand was up, and he was trying. He's sitting here just reaching up, trying. And so when the nurse came and gave him something, had a little cup and put there, he thought alcohol, his mind lied to him. There might be a drop of alcohol in there. So he was reaching for that, just reaching, and couldn't, because he was getting cut in his wrist, reaching for this thing that was beyond his grasp.
That's correct.
I sat there, I couldn't believe it.
Hallucinating and everything. It's just what the brain will go through when it's withdrawing from this drug, and I have noticed, and I would say, because you're in Africa, I'm not sure what the alcohol rate is there. Because I know that with the islanders, where my people are from, they kind of give you alcohol from the time you were little, so alcohol is not a big deal, when you get to, you know, who waits to 21, let's put it like that. So then you don't have alcoholism.
Alcohol and sex. Who wasted 21?
So, but here in the United States, of course, it's a huge thing, with this whole alcoholism. And I think the United States kind of suffers more with alcoholism than any other country. And for some reason, I believe it is because of the you can't, you know. So when you can't, then you're gonna sneak and do it, and then it can become a problem. Or, like I said, some things are genetic as well. So, that can be passed on. Alcoholism. Sometimes drug addiction is too. So if I smoked a cigarette and you smoked a cigarette and you start smoking a pack a day after that, and then I'm not, it's because you had that gene that was addicted. You get addicted to things quickly, you know. So yeah, so just knowing what your genetic makeup is as well. But like I said, you see it more with the USA than you will in a lot of other cultures, you know. And I
Well,
think it's because it's such
yeah. See, here in Ghana, from what I can see, you have liquor stores and you have places that sell lots of cigarettes,
mhm,
but you don't see anybody drinking. I guess if you went to a nightclub, right? But
mhm,
normally you don't see the amount of alcoholics. You don't see people casually just drinking this just normally. And I figured it out. I was with a cab driver one time and we were talking, and I asked him a question. I said, wait a second. I don't see anybody smoking.
mhm.
I don't see anybody drinking. Now that I've settled here for a while, I can see that corner alcoholic, but they hide. And he said, you know what? People smoke cigarettes here just as much in any other part of the world, but you won't see it
Mm,
because of the stigma culturally and with religion. You don't do those things.
right.
So people here, they get it and they'll hide and do it. I've caught a few, not that I'm walking around, aha, but see people, it's a thing, it's a shame thing. You don't smoke,
Mhm,
but they sell cigarettes. You don't drink. You go home and you do it or whatever. I was in another cab, what was it, 2 days ago?
mhm.
And we saw a gentleman at the red light. He was a few cars back. He jumped out of the car and grabbed a bottle and ran back in the car. So I guess that was his drinking time. But it's not like you do this around everybody because you're shamed. So
Right.
now, because we think of, well, we don't see it, this is a healthier society,
Mhm,
it's more pushed undercover. And if you study any societies, you'll understand that those that are oppressed that way, where you keep things in and you don't let the world see it, it
mhm.
becomes more explosive behind closed doors and has no choice but to come out.
Mm,
So
mhm.
that it is a thing over here, but we
Okay.
don't have the drinking and driving as much. But you do have the alcohol, and I'm quite sure those things go on. You know,
Okay. Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But America, oh man, it's
It's
mm,
bad here. It's
it's
bad
real, and it's
here.
going to get worse because of what's happening. You know,
And that's the thing is that, alcohol is not a booster. It's a depressant. Well, it depends. I guess if you're doing white or brown liquor, I guess it depends. so some people say the brown liquor keeps you down and then the white liquor boosts you up. But how long are you going to stay boosted up? You know what I'm saying? So regardless, you can't drink your sorrows away. You can't drink your depression away. So you can't stay drunk. You still have to come back to reality. And once you come back to reality, regardless of what you take, and that's why there's a lot of heroin addiction right now, um, because people want to escape the reality of what's happening here. But what happens when you come back to reality? That's the issue, because the bill is still going to be there. The not having a job still going to be there. Family stressors are still going to be there. Everything is still there. You can't eliminate it. So you have to face it. So that's the thing. That's where it goes back to how to cope and coping. is not taking drugs and alcohol is not a way of being able to deal with a situation.
That's a lot to I'm not saying it's a lot to digest. I'm just saying when you ponder it and you see you're simply stating truth. Simple, not complicated.
Hmm.
But the problems and challenges of the world are so heavy, and we complicate ourselves. Here's here's a comment that you might want to read, and
Okay.
it's across the screen.
Um, um, Lean in Africa is a major problem in America and Africa. Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, um, yeah, the youth, um, that's basically where we started this conversation because the youth don't know how to cope with certain situations, and so what they're being taught right now in our society is to go ahead and try to find an escape route, and that's where I don't know. I mean, I know with a lot of single parents and stuff, it's hard for them because they don't know how to communicate with their children, or try to teach their children about how to deal with certain situations because they don't know how to deal with situations themselves. So yeah, it's a huge issue around the world, I'd say, with these youth, especially um, because they are not being taught how to cope with certain things, and so the bottle is where they turn, or drugs, you know. And I know that the opioid crisis, especially, I mean, that's a big thing, not just in the United States, but in other countries as well, you know. Um, and unfortunately, I mean, you know, how do they get it? It's normally the people up top that are kind of serving it. So it's a big money in that industry. Oh, thank you. um, well, codependency, um, as far as what, not having a mother or father around, um, something that we're missing as a child. Um, I haven't heard that one. That would be, I think that maybe when it comes to relationships, that would be something, because, if you haven't had that love from a parent, um, then, I would say that, as an adult, that would be something that, we would be kind of suffering with or struggling with relationships and that type of thing. But as far as addiction, no, I haven't heard that on the professional realm. Missing parents. Oh, I got you. Yeah. Um, you know, if that is, because I mean, as far as addiction, no, but I would say on an emotional realm, because there's been studies of people, I think with even with monkeys, even if the monkey is taken away from their mother too early, or a baby, is taken away from the mother too early, and they don't feel that motherly love, that child can turn out with some severe emotional issues. Um, so as far as substance abuse or alcohol, I would not say that. Oh, it's okay. I understand. Not everybody had typing class like I did in eighth grade.
No, we get it though. We understand. I make
I'm
some really bad typos. Trust me. I booty dial everybody. Booty
I'm
text, you know.
I'm sorry to hear that, Tina. My condolences to you
Yes,
and the death
indeed.
of your cousin. It's when someone takes that. step and commit suicide, um, that is, that person was really going through something in order to take that step, and they really needed help. And unfortunately, a lot of times we don't see those things or see what they're going through, and until it's over with, it's too late. Oh yes, that definitely would happen. Children that are in a relationship, they see their parent in a relationship with an abuser or someone that is a substance abuser. Oh yeah, to be able to pick that up, definitely. Yeah, because some things are of learned behaviors, you know, and and a person like that, there is help for that person because they're not getting it genetically, they're getting it because of something that they suffered with, or they saw their mom go through it, and so that's how they have tried to cope with what they saw, the devastation. But there is help if they seek help, you know yeah. Oh my goodness. At that, losing someone with suicide, or losing someone suddenly, even, because I've experienced that as well. My mother passed away suddenly, and I will say it's been since 2009, so count the years, and it still feels like a fresh wound. Um, so, when you lose someone and you have unanswered questions for that person, there is no pain worse than that. No pain worse than that. And I will say that that's a tough one, trying to deal with that, because you really want to know what your cousin was thinking. What was the thought process? Did they leave a letter? Um, just so much. What could you have done to help that person? You know, well, of course, if you lose someone suddenly, like I did, I mean, it was just, um, you're just not going to get those answers, because someone just falls over dead, it's over. But it's just the pain that you have to go through, and only time can kind of mend your broken heart. But it never completely goes away, because I still cry. And like I said, she's been gone since 2009, and you still cry for that person. So you will always cry for your cousin.
Wow. I just wish there was a way I could set something up where individuals can like type in, you know, anonymously, like if they're really going through something, and every now and again you can come through and maybe we do a show and answer those questions. Or anybody, like I'm always thinking of things that make things better for people,
Mhm.
what little I have. And like I said, if anybody had any issues that they want to speak about and maybe not, or addressed, where you didn't have to say, I mean, you could shoot us an email, and it'll be confidential, and we're not gonna put it out there or look and say, "Boy, look at this, a child." What? No, no, it won't be like that.
Yes.
And if so, just put mental health in the header, and
Hmm.
then I'd look at it and I'd share it with you, my dear sister,
Hmm.
and we come on and address things that and hit those spots, because that's something that never goes away. And I remember when I first started doing these shows, and many people who reached out to me, can we do something? Can we do a segment on that? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. Mental health advocates and people in the profession to deal with that and to know a little more, a little deeper on how to answer it and address it and stuff. Because that's something that there's someone around us, if not us, always going through that. Especially in this world, there's a whole lot more, and I don't think the crap has hit the fan yet all the way.
It
Hopefully, it
hasn't.
has. But to prepare for it, we can never prepare too much, and strengthen ourselves and our resolves and get back to the whole spiritual elements of things. And
Mhm. And that's
wow,
correct, because
yeah, yeah,
we're not just dealing with man-made issues here. We're dealing with natural disasters. We're dealing with life, which isn't easy. people long for so many things, you know. And like I said, I mean, especially now, things have changed so much. Um, oh, yeah, that's rough right there. Yeah. Um, yeah, so you know, it's just like I said, you deal with these wounds, especially this person that just posted that what she just said. You know, those are wounds that don't go away. And you know, and I've been there. What she was just saying, you know, to where I had encountered the person that raped me when I was 13 years old, and I was in a grocery store, and that person saw me and literally came to me and laughed and said, "You remember what happened? You wanted it, didn't you?" And just laughed in the grocery store. And I said to that person, "You raped me." And he laughed and walked away. And it really, and I was literally that I was about 23 years old when that person approached me. And so, you know, when you have wounds like that, um, it's hard. It's very difficult to go away, and it messes with your mental status, your psyche, you know. And but this is what I've had to do. Like I said, I was a mental health nurse all these years, and I've seen people get raped at young ages, and they became schizophrenic. Oh,
I would, right on the spot, just for him saying that, I'm gonna say it like, I would
uh-huh.
have beat his ass. I would have beat his ass down till my knuckles got bloody, and I would have laughed in his face and say, "Ha ha ha! You wanted that." Continue to kick him in his head until he's not conscious anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
and it's
hmm,
well, something bad happened to him, but I wasn't going to go ahead and put that on
right.
the show. But
Understood.
anyway,
Understood.
something bad did happen to him.
Good.
Yes, he is a sociopath. But you know, but this is what I've had to do for the person that did post that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and you know, is that when you see people that have been through what you've been through, and they have lost their mind, or they have dealt with it in a way that it's just horrible. You know, they can't be in relationships, or they have people that have been violated at young ages. What we go through is either we become sexually hypersexual, or we become or we decide to become gay. You know, some people become gay. And so, you know, and I'm not knocking or saying anything about gay people, but you know, but that's a lot of times it's because they've been violated at a young age, and so it's hard to deal with certain relationships, you know, with the opposite sex. So, but anyway, you know, I think that you know when you try to, or you're trying to heal from that situation that you went through or being violated at a young age, you want to be able to try to help someone else that has been through it, and it tends to help you with what you went through, that you did something good for someone, you helped that person through, you know. And you know, it doesn't it just makes it better, you know, um in your life. You know, I feel that's what I've had to do in mine.
That's I'm glad we went deep like this so far, and I want all episodes that we do together. You know, we can explain and go on the surface and then go back deep again, because it's got to be a good feeling to know that you know things can get better, and that there is help, and there are individuals like you who do care, you know, to dedicate your life to this. We can go freely
Well,
because
things can get better. And you know what I've had to do through the years, I have like quite a few journals. I have books of journals that I've written, and I don't write every day, but I try to write when something that I didn't think I could go through or get through, that I've gotten through, you know, and I write it, and it's like, you know, you can look back at the book and say, oh my goodness, I was going through this on this and this date, and I actually got through it, you know. So journaling, I think journaling really helps a lot, you know, and because you can really literally look back and say, I made it, you know, and I've grown through this, you know, or I got rid of this individual that was poison in my life, you know, or I've gotten stronger, because a lot of times we're very weak mentally and we don't realize how weak we are because we've allowed people to just keep their foot on our heads and keep us down, you know. But when we write things down and we come up with a plan, one thing I've done in this life, um, is come up with a plan. And I don't know, did you ever see that movie, The War Room? Did you ever see that movie, War Room?
No, I haven't. I heard
Okay.
of it, but I haven't.
It's literally one of them cheesy. It's a cheesy, black Christian movie, but it's called The War Room. And I will tell you, because I went with my auntie to the movies to see this movie, The War Room. And this was years ago. And that movie, as cheesy as it was, taught me how to come up with a plan for success in my life. And in this movie, this old woman said, write down what you want God to do for you. Put it on your wall in your closet. Clean out your closet. And you go in that closet every day and you pray on those things. And you'll get what you want. And so I did that. And I wrote down these things. And I eliminated people that were holding me down. I eliminated distractions. And I sat and did everything that I was going to do, and become financially independent, pay off this bill, whatever I had on that list. It may have taken a little bit of time, but guess what? When you learn how to go and separate yourself from foolish things, and you make a list and you tape it on your wall, and you go into your war room, that's your war room, and you talk to God or whoever you believe is helping you, guess what? You're going to get through it. And that's what happened. And I was able to literally, when I took my RN, I had failed. I failed my first test, my boards, the first round. And it was because I had so many distractions in my life. I had negative friends. I had a boyfriend at the time that was using me beyond capacity. And he was poison. And so when I learned that the only way I can get my RN and pass that test is if I eliminated people that were trying to hold me down. And guess what? I passed and I got through just about everything on that list, you know. So you just have to come up with a plan in this life. And it may not happen tomorrow, it may not happen next year, but it's going to happen if you
That's
stay
right.
focused on that list. But you have to go into that war room because that's your battle. No,
That's
your
right.
battle is not anyone else's battle. Like Lance, you can't. You met me when I was in crazy times years ago, and you know, you couldn't help me with my battle. No one could help me with my battle.
Right. Right.
You know, I just had to come up with a plan of how to get through what I needed to get
hmm
through, and you know, and you see the fruits of my labor now.
Yes, and you endured, and there's a part of you that must be
Awesome,
commended.
Ella
And
G.
you
Ella G knows that war room.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So just to when the Creator helped you and did for you,
Mhm.
but there's a part of you that you're not going to pat yourself on the shoulder, but you've done a phenomenal job, and we have to applaud those who get through things and overcome and come back to help those of us who need them.
Mhm.
Because it'd be easy for you to turn your back and say, I'm going to enjoy this, and I made it over to heck with it. But you really have a heart. And because of that, I know that whatever the afterlife brings, it's going to be good. And the life behind that, and the life, whatever it may be out there, I couldn't tell you I wasn't there.
Mhm.
But you're first in line for all the things that are good. And there are many here who are in the chat room who are
Mhm.
also first in line. All the good people can all stand first in line. There is no line really.
Mhm.
Um, this is a test, and this is a test that so far you've passed with flying colors, because your test, I'm gonna tell you, we all go through things, and I went through things, but what you went through, I gotta take my hat off to you for what you've been through and overcome, and to remain looking so beautiful. See, we can't show your face due to employment and different things and whatnot. But if I can show you her face, you would be amazed. You know, you lying. You ain't that. It's for real. For real. For real. You hear the voice, y'all. The face is even more beautiful than the voice.
Thank you very
And
much.
it's from the light that shines out. No, you have the face going on, but it's from the light that shines from the inside also. It illuminates you. You know, where you have gone through lots of turmoil and chaos and uncertainty, you've become the beacon of peace for so many people. And you earn that. You earn your stripes. Nobody handed it to you. You earned it. Seriously.
Well, I
You
appreciate
deserve
that.
all the good that you can get.
But I think the
I
key
still,
also is that you cannot look like what you've been through. You just can't.
yeah, right. No, right. You got to refuse that. And you do not look like what you've been through. Man, I found out more stuff you've been through I didn't even know. And that's proof positive right there. Seriously, proof positive.
Oh goodness!
You
Because
know,
I tell you, it's nothing worse than having a
this goes
patient
on
that's
back.
nothing worse than having a patient that's 40 and they look like they're 70. So so
Wow.
you have to
Right.
know how to channel that stress, because if you hold it in, you're gonna look real old real fast. You're gonna get wrinkles all over, and you just age faster than you should. You know. And so yeah, you really I can't express more. That's just how to learn how to channel that negative energy out of your body. you know I don't know how else to express it, but that's what has saved me in this life, and that's what has given me the youthfulness that I have, to where my children look like my sisters. So so and
Oh,
I thank
seriously.
God for that.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa, right? That's right. Right. And it's not that they look old. They look young just the age that they are. But I mean, you can't tell the difference. Like, wait a second. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's when you know that you've done things right and you've been afforded that goodness in your life after all. You passed the test. You're like that student that passed, did the test quick. I'm not saying you did it quick because many, many years, but you threw it the test and it's like, okay, I can leave now, and some people are still trying to figure it out. The journal is an important thing, like they said, because, you can remember memories, and some of those memories amplify in your brain and become more than what it was. And and sometimes we can push it down
Mhm.
and try to minimize it while not dealing with the hurt and pain that still linger on in our heart. So the whole journaling, even if you just write 3 sentences, 4 sentences about that day,
That's
how
right.
you went through it, how you felt, that's
Hmm.
very important.
That's
My
right.
journal is my website. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Doing shows and yeah, a documented thing that you do proactively, no matter
Yeah.
what. I talk about a lot of things. I've shared a lot about my life here, and
Hmm.
it's helped me tremendously go through a lot.
Yes, because you're going to look back one day at what those 4 lines that you wrote, and what seemed impossible became possible. Because one
Mm-hmm.
thing I can tell you is that every battle that I've come to in this life,
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten through 100% of all of them.
Yes.
So
Yes.
trouble does not last always. And if you have to know this, and anyone that is listening that does not know me, one thing I will tell you, you can't see me, but if you see me, you anything is possible in this life. I don't care what you're going through.
That's right.
I really don't care. I mean,
That's right.
what you're going through, anything is possible. I'm not saying unrealistic goals. I mean, don't say, oh, you want to win the lottery or something, but, but just
Right. Right.
realistic
Right.
goals that take your strength, your energy. Because one thing I've learned in this life is that our Creator sees hard work. Our Creator sees hard
Mm-hmm.
work. And if you take one step, He's going to take two. But you can't sit still and think He's going to make all the steps. He's not going to. So you have to make your steps, and so that your vision, your plan can come through, so it can come into existence. Because you cannot stand still in this life and think that things are just going to fall in your lap.
That's right. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's that's the real nitty gritty of it all, you know, and not just the fact that you're a nurse and beyond the nurse and into mental health, it's life experience. You weren't that still, you know, advice that's so sound and would undergird you through anything. That's right. You know, there's so look. I'll be honest. There's so much more I want you to share. I want you to write a book one day. You got
Well,
to.
I need your help with that because I'm the worst. I'm the worst at reading a book. Let's put it like that. So 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 I don't mind talking and having someone type up the words, but I am the worst, and I tell you, so I could write several books because all I can tell you, and I can't express it more, that
Right.
you know all I can tell you is that miracles, absolute miracles. You know how people say that whole, miracles don't happen anymore. Yes, they
Right.
do,
Oh, yes, they
because
do.
and because I can write books on the miracles that have happened in my life, you
Hmm.
know and so it's just, or miracles I've seen, literally. I mean, people I've taken care of, and the doctor's like, oh well, he's got maybe 3 days left, and the next thing you know, this person is woken up from whatever. You're like, wait a second, there's no explanation
Yeah.
here. So all I can tell you is that those miracles still happen in 2021. You just
Hmm.
have to have faith. You have to test your faith, and if you have no faith, forget it. Forget it. That
Check
to
that
me,
out.
faith in your creator is like trusting your spouse. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't have trust in a relationship, you know, if you don't if you don't have trust in your relationship, you might as well just forget being married to that person. But
That's
but
right. That's right.
if you have faith in your creator, and you just know that there's not a formal way to talk to the person that created, or that being that created you. There's not a formal
Right.
way. You don't have to get on your knees. You don't have to. You just know that that being is listening to you at all times, is watching you at all times,
Yes.
and that
Yes.
you just know, okay, look, I'm going through this right now, and I really need you to help
Hmm.
me. And I don't care how you say it, because look, I know that I've had to use a few cuss words at times, you know, and there's no
Hmm.
formal way, but no one knows you more than your creator. Period. You know, and you just gotta be real. Gotta be real. You know, and you'll get through it. It may not be today, but you're gonna get through it.
Yeah. Yeah. And our perception of time has a lot to do with it because it's not always going to be on our time. It may be on another time slot, time, whatever. It may not be the way we yearn for it and say, wow, we need this now. It
Hmm.
may not come for 2 weeks or 2 years or whatever. So we got to kind of roll with it that way and just know that it's going to work its way out. It's like being in a traffic jam that you don't even think you can get out of. It's like, oh man, these
Oh yeah.
cars are so backed up. You know,
Yes.
it's like being at the base of the 59th Street Bridge, 8:45 in the morning in Long Island City. Like, how am I going to get over this bridge? It's
Yes.
just not going to work, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but you will
Yeah.
get through it. You're here now. It just seems like, it was never going to happen before, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
each,
and you're talking to a person that has lost. When I say lost everything. Okay, and literally to where I didn't even have a car, and I had to, because of that situation,
yes.
that I went through. But
Hmm.
didn't even have a car. But the thing was, is that when you still count your blessings around you, that you have
Hmm.
children that love you, you have not missed a meal in this life. That even if it's peanut butter and jelly, guess what? You didn't miss a meal. You know, um, you know,
Exactly.
count the little blessings, because you know how many people wish they had that peanut butter and jelly. You know,
For real.
um, so so it's just I think just knowing that for me, I remember when I lost everything, and I only my friend let me borrow her car, and
Mhm.
she was a truck driver, a long distance truck driver, and she let me borrow this car, and this car was literally like a little egg. We called it the egg. My kids called it the egg, and it was a raggedy piece of car. But guess what?
Oh,
It took us where we needed to go. So
exactly. Exactly. And you
And
appreciate it too.
I appreciate it and just so thankful that someone cared enough to be able to let me borrow their little car, and take my kids where they need to go. And until I was able to come up with a few $100s and buy my own new car, you
Right,
know.
right,
So,
right.
so you just have to really, really learn how to have faith and count your little blessings, even I don't care how small the blessing is, just count it,
That's right.
you know,
Wow.
because I'm telling you, with what I do in this field, and you see people coming up with these strange cancers, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is really crazy. And you know what, it makes you more thankful. You're like, you know what, I may not have a bunch of stuff, but I got my health,
Hmm.
or I
That's
got
right.
the energy to pick up my head. I got the energy to, you know, just have a good day, or whatever, or be able to talk to
Hmm.
someone. And but you see some terrible things, and you need to be thankful for what you
Yeah.
have, honestly.
Wow. I'm
Yeah.
looking for something for you. I have a gift for you that I'm looking for
Oh.
that will help you write that book.
Oh, well,
Empress
thank
Elegy,
you.
you know exactly what it is. I'm looking for it. I can't seem to find it. Maybe she can find it in the email. I'm looking at my my Gmail account. I know it's there,
Hmm.
but it's like one of the best things, and I'll let you know what it is. But I may not send it right now. Within the next hour. Romy
Okay.
Rome, I sent you something in your mail also. I'll be doing that, and like I said, I got more shows later on and stuff like that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
enjoying the heck out of this, and this is like so calming. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I just want to go on the couch and just not doze because I'm bored, but just so soothing, just so soothing, like a little baby. You see him just curl up. You don't want to wake up. You know what I mean? Just
Oh my
and
goodness.
yeah, you have that, and that's your gift, and you've gifted so many countless people with that. And after all you've been through, isn't that something that you're formed and made into being this person that you may have needed years ago, right? And now you are that to them who are going through what you went through. See how nature is? You see how life is? It's a very special thing. You know,
Yes, that's correct.
that's right.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's right.
And I can honestly tell you from the time I was 4 years old, God put in me that I was meant to be a nurse, and I remember 4 years old, and I said, I'm going to be a nurse one day, I'm going to be a nurse. And life didn't allow me to go straight to college right after high school. I was married actually my senior year of high school. I was pregnant my senior year of high school, and my husband at the time was, I call him the devil's brother, because he was an evil man. And but I was so young and dumb at the time that I didn't know any better. And so anyway, I was married to the devil's brother, and he said to me, "You can't
Not
go to."
funny, but please.
He says, "You can't go to college. We can't afford college. You cannot go to college." Because I thought at the time I didn't know anything about Pell Grants. I didn't know anything about
Mhm,
anything,
mhm.
and all
Right,
I
right.
thought that college was for rich people. That mom and daddy had to be rich, and so that's the only way I was going to go to college. And so I found a program at the time. This was back in the 90s, just to throw it out there. And it was um, a 3-month program, and it was for certified nursing assistant. And it was only $150, which at that time was very hard to get $150. And so I came up with that
Had to get
$150.
$50.
Exactly. At $150.
100.
Exactly. And I paid for that little CNA program, and I thought that's all I could afford. And so I went to school and got the little 3-month certification. And
Wow.
when I say I worked as a CNA for 16 years, and I
See?
thought that's all I could do, until someone said to me, "Why are you not a nurse?" And I said, "I've always dreamed of being a nurse. I've always wanted to be a nurse, but I can't afford college." You know what that person said to me? "Why don't you get a Pell Grant?" I was like, well, what in the world is a Pell Grant? Do I have to pay
Okay.
that? Do I have to pay that money back? You know, I didn't know that there was money that could be available for people like me.
There you
And
go.
and so literally, I had to do some research, and when I researched and
Lo and
found,
behold,
yeah,
you found
bam, just like that. You know, I was like, dang,
it.
I could have been a doctor by now.
Exactly.
you know, so what you don't know, and so that's why I make it my mission now to teach people that I see. Like like I said, I will not treat the housekeeper any different. I will not treat the
Yes.
CNA
Yes.
any different because I've been there. I've had to work multiple jobs as a CNA. I've cleaned houses on
Mhm.
the side for years. I think when you met me, I was cleaning houses on the side.
Yeah, I
And
remember.
and so I've done it all. I've done roofing, landscaping, I did
Yeah.
tile work.
Yeah. Yes.
I've done it all to
Yes.
survive and to take care of my children.
That's right.
And so, but when you
Certified.
certified totally,
That's right.
hard labor, and but if you don't have someone to educate you or teach you that this is available and you can do this, you don't need to be rich, you know and that's what my mission is. I try to educate and help people the best way I can, you
Hmm.
know because that's what I didn't have. My parents weren't educated. My mom was eighth grade education in Haiti, and my dad was fifth grade education in DR.
Hmm.
So they weren't educated, but
Right.
so I didn't know. So so I had to learn and do the footwork and find out. So
Hmm.
all I can say is that if there's anyone that's listening that feels that they can't do any better in this life, that's not true.
That's right.
You can.
That's right.
You
There's so
can.
much more. Yeah, there's so much more. There's so much more, even more than you can imagine. It's just you have to go through it, rearrange, alter those energies around you, and never let anybody take away that feeling you have, that you know that you have the seeds of greatness inside of you. Never let that happen.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean you're pumped up on yourself where you're arrogant, but your creator put you here for a reason, and he put the seeds of greatness inside of you, and all glory goes to that creator who made you from. It's just like when you see 2 or 3 kids or 10 kids on a bus or subway, public transportation, and the parents are nearby, but you don't see them. But you just see these well-behaved kids, just well-behaved. Excuse me, ma'am, sir,
Right.
whatever. They're a reflection of the parent.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you say, wow. And you can't help but saying to the mother or the parents, if they both did, mother and the father, listen, I have to commend you. You did a wonderful job,
Hmm.
because you noticed the difference. So you have that in you, and you have the baton now in your hand, and you're a representative of your parents.
Hmm.
And for those who have had parents that may not have been the best all the way, they still brought you here. And
Hmm.
things can happen bad. I've heard a lot of stories, and people have told me things even off the show that would make you cringe,
Hmm.
on how they did things to their kids and molestation, different things, but they still made it through. So never think that you are the worst thing that has happened to you. You are not that. It's not your fault. And you can go on and shine higher and even more higher despite all the things that have been thrown to you. So never give up on that. You're
That's
here
right.
for a reason. Never give up. Even when, and I've been through some rough times myself, and it's I'm here. I'm
Oh
still in
yeah.
the fight. There's
That's
still a
right.
chance to get that decision, and there's still
Hmm.
a chance to get that knockout. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I'm gonna keep on swinging until I can't swing no more. And even when
Hmm.
I get on the other side, I'm gonna still be swinging somehow,
That's right. That's right. You
swinging
know,
spirit arms.
that's
Whatever.
right. Yes, that's right.
Right?
But I think the most complicated thing for most people uh, is finding out what your purpose is, and that was my thing. I felt like a hamster on a wheel for a long time, you know, and when you feel like you're just a hamster on a wheel, you're just going round and round circles, and that there's more to this than just running on a wheel, you know. Um, that's where I call it taking. It's more of a leap of faith, but not just the leap. What I mean is, it's almost like imagine yourself at the top of a building, and you just fall off that building backwards. And I call it free falling. And I've learned how to free fall and let God catch me. And when I tell you it's the scariest feeling in the world, it is so scary to allow God to catch you. But once again, I've allowed him to catch me even when I'm scared to death of making that move. And guess what? I come out on top. And that's why I'm on top now. And I thank him every day for the last 5 years that I've been on top. I thank him. You know, so just learn how to free fall. And it's scary. I'm not going to say it's not. And I've cried many, many tears because I don't know what to do. But you just gotta, if he wakes you up at 3 o'clock in the morning and he gives you this idea and you're like, whoa, you know, that's a pretty good idea. You know, but how am I going to do this? If he gives you that idea, go ahead and do it. Just do it. You know, take that leap, because apparently he gave it to you. And I call it, you know, when God wakes you up, I call it between 2 and at 3 o'clock in the morning hour, and he's giving you these brilliant ideas. You know, there's a reason for that. I feel like that's the time when he communicates with you. You know, when everyone else is quiet and sleeping, and he wakes you up in the middle of the night around that 2-3 o'clock hour, there's a reason. I get my best ideas at that time. And when things fall into place, it's meant for you to do it. If you have to, if it doesn't fall into place, like even in a relationship, if you're just fighting to be with this person and, you know, it's just, it ain't even worth it. It's not meant for you. You know what I'm saying? Forget it, you know.
Not,
but
not.
It's not meant for you. Just forget it. Just hang it up. Some
But
things
our
are best left to go.
always say I can do this because we want this, but it's like trying to stick a square peg in a round hole. It's
Exactly. It's not
gonna
going
work.
to fit. So just let it go. It's okay to let things go. You know, I've had to let go of quite a few relationships, friendships, you know, and it's okay because guess what? You get used to that person being out your life and it's going to be all right, you know, and you may think back on that person and miss that person, but guess what? That person does not need to be in your life because guess what? Your life is so much better now than it was with them in it, you know. So
what was I thinking?
What were you thinking? You know? So, you know, it's just something that you have to learn, and that's what gets you to become wise. And I don't think there's anything worse than an old person that is not wise. You know what I'm saying? People don't know what wisdom is. And wisdom is something that you must learn, you know, because I have met some elderly people that it seems like they've learned nothing in this life. Absolutely.
I've met some gray-headed fools out here.
Exactly.
And, you know, we assume we see the gray hair symbolically or the look on the face, and we go to them for wisdom, and they bark out the stupidest things. They're like, but they have this face that we've been thinking like those wrinkles in that gray hair means wisdom, and they say something so shallow. It's like, oh, how did I even go to them? How did I even think this? We put that on them. I was at a function here up in Cape Coast, and you know, it was an open thing, but it was a lot of family members there, but it was open for anybody. And so there were a few of the young ladies dancing there that were very well shaped. And so you see that all over the place, right? And there was a guy who was sitting next to at the table. He was eating, and I was eating. And I'm trying to show respect. And, you know, I said, well, sir, you know, I'm just making small talk because he said something to me. I think he was there by himself. And he's sitting there eating and sucking this chicken bone and eating this rice or whatever. So I said, it seems like you're really enjoying yourself tonight, you know. And he said, man, how could I not with all this ass around here? And I'm like, oh! I'm thinking he was the serious whatever. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Shouldn't he be thinking, I mean, if you think, don't say it. I'm younger than you, even though I'm older than most at this point. I'm getting to that age group, 58 and a half or whatever. But he looked so much, and I approached him in such a, you know, Not that he saw me that way. I'm super decent, and and he just came out, blurted it out like it was so aggressive. And damn, you're not even ashamed of that.
Yeah.
The age of these young girls, you see things, but come on, you don't know me.
Oh yeah, I have been in the Legion. I've gone to the elderly whatever Legion place, and literally these guys are like in walkers coming up to you trying to talk and so inappropriate, and you're like, wait a second, granddaddy, like what is wrong with you? You're not in your 20s anymore.
Exactly. I don't want to be that guy. If you're that person, be that way with somebody who's like you at your same age group. At least be that.
Yeah, right.
But in public, nah, it's embarrassing, man.
Very embarrassing.
I'll tell jokes now. I'll tell jokes, do a little shows and some little jokes, but I'm not going out there like that. I thought he was LANCESCURV. I thought he was decent. Nah, can't do that.
It's very embarrassing, and I tell you because that individual I was telling you about earlier that had the virus. But anyway, he's elderly gentleman, and I've never spoken to an elderly gentleman before. I'm talking 16 years older than me, and so I had already explained to this individual that he's a little older than what I normally would go for.
Right.
10 years is normally my limit when it comes to dating.
Right.
Well, anyway, this gentleman, apparently he must think that he's younger than he truly is. So,
Are you serious?
he called me the other day now that he's feeling a little better. He's not 100% from the virus, but he's feeling a little better. But he had enough energy to speak his mind. And his mind was not good. I don't think I'm wondering if the virus has eaten up some of his brain cells or something. Because
a little rap on you, huh?
Well, the thing was that I checked on this individual twice a day, every day for at least 14 days when he was going through a really bad time with the virus.
He became attached.
And I said, hey, are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you? Because of course I can't come. I'm not making no contact with the person. But but I'm like trying to encourage this person because I know how tired this virus will make you tired, and I'm like, please just get up, because this virus is like a spirit. It will tell you, just lay down, go to sleep, and it'll make you so weak and until you get a blood clot and somewhere and then you'll die pretty much. So, so I'm like trying to encourage him to get up and do things. And, this man actually had enough nerve to call me and say that I was an annoying individual.
You were annoying?
That I'm annoying because I called him every day and would repeat the same thing. Just please just get up and eat something. Take your vitamins. Lay prone if you're having trouble breathing. So yes, I called him every day and I did say that.
Yeah.
But he did not like that. He was very angry about me checking on him.
Well, you know what? Let's take a time machine and go back and don't call him.
That's what I said. I said, you don't have to worry about me calling and check on you ever again. I'm glad you're feeling well enough to tell me that I'm annoying.
You can sing that old Lou Rawls song when you don't call. You're gonna miss my loving. Not that it was loving, but I'm just saying you're concerned. You're gonna miss my loving.
Yes. And so, I'm like, as old as you are, you should be happy that I am even concerned of your well-being, And it's sad because I'm like, he's just a grumpy old person. And I'm like, for me to call you twice a day and be concerned, I thought it was a nice gesture. But now I know that he did not appreciate that. It was he said he thought that he was senile because I kept calling every day and saying the same thing. You are correct. He is lucky that I gave him some attention.
Oh man, how ungrateful! That's crazy.
Yeah, So I'm like, okay, how about this? You don't have to worry about me checking on you no more. I'm just glad that you have enough energy to tell me how you feel, and that's that. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's so let's put it like this: there won't be a second dinner date.
That's right. That phone won't be ringing because of you. That's right. And he's like, wait a second, I got used to this. He might call you and apologize. Trust me. He might. You never know. You never
Well,
know.
you know what? This is my thing. A lot of these elderly men, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
say men, think that they're
Mm-hmm.
younger than they are.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
of course, they want younger women,
Mm-hmm. You think
well,
they are.
yeah, and that's fine. But, the reality is if you're 60 something years old, you are not in your 30s anymore. Bottom line,
Right. Right.
accept
Right.
it. Accept it. You know, you can't wear your pants
Yeah.
underneath
Yeah.
your butt crack anymore. You can't you can't wear, the Rick James hair or the braided hair anymore. Come on now. There's a time where you have to grow up.
Yeah. That's why, like, for me, I have no problem at this point knowing where my blip is on the radar screen and in my old stories and all this stuff. But it's really enjoyable to be at this point in life for me, to be able to. It's like no pressure. Not that I felt pressure for anything, but it's just like, oh, easy, oh, you're older. Okay, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I can think back. I made it at this point. To make it over 50 in America as a black man, and to go through as much as I've gone through emotionally, and just the experiences and the things that I've seen. I'm just glad to be here. I'm really just glad to be here and to make myself, to fill gaps, to make people feel good, to get in where I fit in, to make things better. I'm enjoying the heck out of myself, and in a new place, and it's a new chemistry here. Nowhere's perfect, but there's so much to look forward to, and to be of service at this point, and just have fun. I'm having a ball. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm having fun every single day, and I love it. And this medium has helped me to enjoy it, and avoid a midlife crisis, and know that I am not 20 or 25. And yeah, I go back and think things, and see when I was this, like the old guys do. But right now, no. And the sad part about it is, because I am free of that, I run into a lot of older men who are in my age group, or even a little older, and some who are mad at me because I might be older than them and they look older than me. But I will find that you have these, for real, you have these men who, it's strange. You meet them online. I mean, it's not, I meet people in person, but I meet more
Yeah.
people online. So you meet these guys who are cool with you at first, and after a while they resent you, and it's sick, because men, when they didn't explore different parts of their life earlier on, they're mad at me when they kind of pick up on the fact that I have. And so they're mad at things that I had on very erotic levels after the fact. Why are you mad at me for something I did
Right.
40 years ago, 35 years ago? Really and truly, and I'm not in that place where that's what it is for me. No, right now is the present, the manifestation of who I am. I'll tell a good story. I'll tell something from my past, but I'm very much here. If you're here at this point, at this age, and your mind stays back there, you're not going to grow. There's things I need to do now. I got pieces of equipment sitting in front of me. I got to study things like this stuff, crazy stuff that you don't see, that many here who have afforded me to purchase through what they've shared with me. I got microphones all over the place, all kind of things I got to sit here and put in my mind. I don't have time. When I was 22, that girl, man, I teared it up. I got no time. I mean, I can say those things. Yeah, on the comedy show, we'll talk about those things. But, what you shared today was, what I feel good about is that you've impacted my life greatly, more than what you could know. And for me to share that good part, instead of me telling everybody about how great you are, and you're not going to say, I know you're not going to say you're great, but you got greatness inside of you and you're doing a great thing. Instead of me being able, or just telling them, I can have them hear your voice. This is how you use technology. And I'm just so grateful to have the technology, to have the setup, and to have you still in my life, that I can share you, because I'm a collector of people, right? When I see good energy, I'm like, oh man, what they're saying, oh, I would love to have them come on the show. Let me get your number. Let me get a clip right now. I'm always whipping out cameras. I'm always ready. Pa, pa, pa. Martial arts. Woo! And whichever way I can do it, I do it. and put it out to the world so it can stimulate in a good way, jolt you in a shocking way, make you see something from the harshness of even the harsh realities that I share that other people have lived. So now I found my lane and I'm happy in that. And a lot of things that could have took me out, I've actually heard bullets that were meant for somebody else fly over my head, and I know what a bullet sounds like. You know, and to miss my head, and it wasn't you know, you had to be a bad shot, especially the person was behind me, right? I hit so big, you turn around and shoot, and I'm over there and still get me. So this journey for me to be able to document it and bring people, and a lot of people I've known have transitioned on. Yes. But the energy you share at this particular time and place, and all of us here in the chat room to say at this particular day, at this particular time, we crossed our paths together and shared something that will go with us for the rest of our life, and we can come back to. You can come back to this in 2 days and you know, make sure YouTube doesn't take me down, but it's, you know, and thank you for sharing that so much. And we ain't done yet. We got a gazillion shows to do. Trust me. You pick the topic, I'm gonna be right here.
Well, it's a pleasure to be, you know, in communication with you. Yeah, that you're so far away, and but then so close at the same time, because I watch you every day. I watch you every day. You know, you're very active. So you know, so I appreciate your work and what you've done all these years, and you know, hard work does pay off. I'm so proud of you.
We met. I was doing something on different levels. It's crazy.
You were doing more drawings and getting in trouble on Facebook. That's what you were doing, but
yes.
So yeah, the rebel on Facebook, and they kept banning you. You kept going to Facebook jail, but yes.
AOL got rid of me just straight up. They're like, no, we don't do business with you. I couldn't believe that. I paid my money. And, you know, when it comes to AOL or it comes to these companies, you call them, you know, it's hard to get a local call. But when you call in that respect, you get a call to India. Sorry, we don't need your business no more. I'm like, what did I do? What can I tell you? I'm like, I need my own website.
Right.
And that's what started me off to be independent, and it evolved into this. Because
when I met you, you were on MySpace, because we were doing MySpace.
Yeah. MySpace was and Black Planet. So that shows you how much of a dinosaur.
Yes, MySpace.
Yeah, Black Planet, right? The original Facebook.
Yes.
There's so much more quality than, you know. Now it's a booty call site, basically. Even though my name is still there, I'm on a lot of sites that have turned into that, and people, yes, man, I was on so. What you doing there? I said, listen, check the year that my profile was made on that. You know, 2002, 2003. It was not like that back then.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just leave it up, you know, old time's sake and whatever. It is what it is. But it's been a heck of a journey, and I look back often, but I also look forward, and that's what keeps me going. You know, one day we'll be able to look back at everything, and everything is just, man, the people I've met, oh man, phenomenal. I think I'm a magnet that way anyway, you know.
Oh yeah.
I'm always a magnet for that.
Oh yeah. I think you and I both are magnets to the people that are in the right place at the right time, and then we can help each other, and we can help each other in you know, in these difficult times. And so I think it's important to stay in touch with each other. I'll be happy to do as many shows as you want me to do. There's always a whole lot of topics to talk about, and
it's much. Trust me, you're giving me life. You're breathing life into me, and it's helping a lot who are here. That if they don't need the information, they can share it with others that they know. But of course, like you said, I'm always in touch. I'm always close, and I may be far away in the world with the miles between us. But if anybody messes with you, you let me know, and I'm only a 11-hour or a 9-hour plane flight away. So, trust me, and I will get the ski mask the same way, do what I gotta do, and so I said, that looks like LANCESCURV, and I'm back on the plane coming back over here. Let them look for me then.
I
let them come out here and me in the crowd.
I appreciate you, but this will be a whole different topic. But the people that are trying to mess with me are in the big house, you know. So we can't touch them. So anyway,
true.
So we're gonna leave them alone.
They'll be like, yeah, you're full Lance. Yeah, I came back. You're not going. Here, we're bringing you this underground. We're detaining you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we're not going to go there.
What happened?
Yes. So 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 we'll keep each other
Yes,
close, and I will talk to you soon. And
yes,
everyone out there, it was a pleasure,
yes.
talking to the ones that had questions. And if you
That's
have any
right.
more questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yes, yes. And like I said, you tell me when you're ready to come back. I know your schedule can be jumpy sometime. I'm always here. This is the old guy who's, retired a little bit, but I'm not ever retired from life, and I will go harder, and that's what keeps me alive. And knowing that you're doing what you do as excellently as you do keeps me alive, because I have to undergird you, not because you need me, but this part of it. Please let me get some information, because you're saving lives, and get some rest, sweetheart.
Thank
As
you. I
beautiful as
appreciate
you
you.
look, I know you're gonna get tired too.
Yes, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so
Really.
much.
So I'll
All
talk
right,
to you
man.
soon. Take care.
Definitely. All right.
All right.
Thank you
Good.
so much. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Bye bye.
Right. All right. I want everybody to show her some love. The screen went back to the single screen. So I got to find the single screen so I can come back and not look so jacked up. See, that thing smashed me in the face. Let's see how this works. Okay, that's better, but there's no words on the bottom. Oh man, what am I going to do? I'll sit here the same way, just like this. I got to make a banner just like that to have, this was so empty under me, right? But anyway, I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to come back live again. I've been following through with my promises when I feel so squished up in this bad boy. Let me see. There's another option here, right? Because once one person leaves, like fills in, and I'm like right in the middle. When they're there, it's like, whoop, Right? Anyway, I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to play like 10 hours worth of music, not 10 hours for real. And I want to come back before we have Sister Unica, which is going to be 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time and 2 o'clock in the morning for me, which I might be sleeping by then. So I want to cram in some more. And Empress G, I forgot to send you the link because I came in the door, 10 minutes before, and I had to make the banner, and I was doing everything so quick. I'm like, boom, the show started. I was like, oh man, I forgot. And I would have used a different banner. So I'm going to make permanent banners for different configurations from 1 to 10 people. So I'll just click a button and it won't end up like this, right? So we're always looking to move forward. We're going to do that. And I want to thank you all for being here. Let me put a little banner in so I can block everything up. And I can hide. Now I can pick my nose. No, I ain't going to do that. Anyway, we'll be back. I don't know exactly what time because, YouTube doesn't want to give out notifications or anything. So, that being said, we will be back. We will be back. Trust me. We're going to play some relaxing music right now. I don't know exactly what's going to pop up. I just punched in peaceful, relaxing music. So it may not be just us who created the songs, but it'll be on that relaxing vibe. And that's what I'm going to do right now as I sign off. So let me see the time now. It's 8:17 for me, 4:17 for you. The show comes on with Sister Unica at 10 p.m. your time. That's 2 a.m. my time. So if I come back, maybe, let's see, maybe 10, 11 for me, 10. I'm going to take care of some things. I'm going to take care of this empty stomach of mine. I'm going to look at some tutorials and learn some more stuff to make things better. And I say maybe 10, no, not 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock around in there, your time on the East Coast, and we'll vibe a little bit, at least an hour. At least I'll be fair because I'm gonna get in a bit early tonight and plan for the morning show. And we'll have that, and we'll have Sister Unica, which is gonna knock your socks off. It's funny, it's teachable moments in there, but it's raw in a good way, in a very entertaining way. So we're going to be doing that regular also. And then we have the morning show, the rising show with Empress G, and we're going to wrap it up and just keep the content going. The GoPro is out. The GoPro is out. I'm looking to get it now. Empress G. I'm going to do something and have it sent to you. I wanna get it as quick as I can so I can go out there and get that good street video. And now I know a crowd better. I'm gonna go to some spots. I'm gonna show you the real deal about things. I'm gonna go into some night spots that you wouldn't believe, like nooks and crannies, and get some footage and show you some real life over here, 360 degrees around. You know what I mean? So thank you so much. Let me sign off. Let me hit this relaxing music and let's see what comes up. LANCESCURV signing out. I'll see you another 2.5 hours. Peace.
Why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition? Stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion. Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather after we die. But all of the years that we're living, for us is nothing but hell, pain, torture, and misgiving. Yet the Bible speaks of a heaven filled with material luxury, which the white man and the preacher has right here, so we see. So my friend, take it for what it's worth. Your heaven and your hell is right here on this earth. So let's check back into history, which rewards all research and tells us plainly that before the white man gained entry to the East, he was living in the caves of Europe, a ravenous beast, eating juniper roots and eating flesh raw, till God sent Moses to civilize him and teach him the law. Then, following Marco Polo, an explorer, he gained entry into Asia and Africa. From China, he took silk and gunpowder. From India, he took jute, manganese, and rubber. He raped Africa of her diamonds and her gold. From the Mideast, he took barrels of oil untold, raping, robbing, and murdering everything in his path. The whole black world has tasted of the white man's wrath. So, my friend, it's not hard to tell. A white man's heaven is a black man's hell. Before we came to America, we were living in the East. By the Nile River, we were living in luxury, enjoying freedom, justice, and equality. We wore silken robes, slippers of gold. We were the wealthiest and the wisest people, I'm told. Now we are the poorest of the poor. Nobody wants us at their door. So, my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven, black man hell. When the white man came to America, he told the Indian, I am your white brother. He said, red man, I'll treat you the best. Yet and still he pushed the Indian further west with his white woman and fire water. Tricks and lies, he stole America. The original owner of this nation is cooped up on a reservation. So, my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven, black man hell. He needed someone to work the land. His back was too weak. He needed you, black man, so he commissioned Sir John Hawkins to commit the worst, most grievous sin, to take a man who's born to be free and bring him down to slavery, to sell a man as merchandise, on his body put a price. Oh, my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven is a black man hell.